No country has ever been as important to the world as China is right now. And it's not about politics or economics. This has to do with something far more basic, a climate-safe future. You see, today we face the challenge of implementing the biggest energy transition in the history of humankind under a ticking climate clock. In order to avoid complete climate catastrophe, we all need to decarbonize, and we need to do it right now. But in order to harness renewable energy like the sun and wind, we first need to build technologies such as solar panels, windmills, and batteries. And in order to build those, we need to mine huge quantities of scarce, precious metals that are found deep, deep beneath the ground. And this is also the crux of China's rise to power, at the heart of which you have all the critical materials that we need to decarbonize on the one hand and digitalize on the other. We are now at the beginning of an exponential demand curve. If you take lithium as a proxy, a key component for batteries, global production already increased by just short of 300% between 2010 and 2020. The International Energy Agency tells us an electric car requires 6 times more mineral input than a conventional car. The World Bank tells us that global production for minerals such as graphite and cobalt will increase by 500% by 2050. And this is only to meet the demand for clean energy technologies. The truth is, China understood already long ago that it would play a central role in other countries' transitions, and it is. The European Union, for instance, is 98% dependent on China for rare earths. If you look at the materials such as lithium, countries like Chile and Australia tend to dominate extraction, while China dominates processing. For cobalt, the Democratic Republic of Congo dominates extraction, while China dominates processing. For nickel, countries like Indonesia and the Philippines tend to dominate extraction, while China dominates processing. And for rare earths, China dominates extraction, while China dominates processing. China has skillfully leveraged its geo-economic rise to power over the last 2 decades on the back of integrating supply chains for rare earths from extraction to processing to export. Needless to say, this puts China in a prime position to redesign the global balance of power. And history tells us that when the dominant source of energy changes, power relations change as well. Think of the United Kingdom and coal, for instance, or how oil determined the ascendance of the US to a global superpower. The race is on for a new generation of power, and we are already seeing the weaponization of supply chains. The US and Europe are both looking at reshoring critical mining and processing, as well as rearranging international partnerships. Japan is exploring some of its oceanic marine resources to build strategic reserves, while China is trying to gain access to more mineral resources through its Belt and Road Initiative. And therefore, China's prosperity and rise to global superpower may either bring about a successful transition to clean energy on a global scale, or lead to an all-out war with existing superpowers that will inevitably cause global devastation. Jakob Tobias for CI Radio News.